from Jared Gunler. He said, with no nose tackle, the caliber of Reader, how do we stop the run and compete in the North who runs the ball? Well, hopefully a guy like Tier Tart, he can play nose tackle. He can. And he's different than a guy like Sheldon Rankins. Like he's different than a guy like BJ Hill. He can stop the run. So the goal would be him and the draft.
I mean, yeah, let's face it. It has to be the draft. It has to be.
Yeah.
Listen, everybody else might be out or low on T'Vondre Sweat. I'm not. I think the one thing you have, I believe in his potential, what he could be. I think expecting him year one to be that cog in the defensive line is wishful thinking. I do believe that his potential of what he can become is going to be good. I believe in T'Vondre Sweat. So, again, if you're the Bengals, where do you draft that guy at? For me, if you want T'Vondre Sweat, you have to draft him with your second pick.
Yes.
You have to. And let me play the devil's advocate. Do you move up to grab him? Do you move up to grab him? Because you have this is like you have the 18th pick in the first round, you have the 18th pick in the second round. Do you have to move up to get a guy like T'Vondre Sweat? That's a real question.
Yeah. He should be there. Like he should.
He should, right? So let's play that game.
Yeah.
He should, right? That's the question that's what we have to say. Oh, this guy should be there.
Yeah.
But if you're the Bengals, can you afford a guy should be there?
No, and that's where the conversation is and I'm with you. I think T'Vondre Sweat this would be perfect for his role because he doesn't have to focus on specializing. He would focus on, hey, he's got 1 to 2 downs. That's all he has to do. And he's got Sheldon Rankins beside him and BJ Hill beside him.
If you can get Byron Murphy, though, man, I think you get 1 and 2. You get exactly everything you're looking for. That's the ideal fit, man.
Yeah.
And that's tough, right? Because you do have a need at right tackle still. Even if you were to sign Mekhi Becton, what do you do? What do you do? Like, do you draft that tackle there? Do you draft that need at defensive line? Because here's the question. Here's one thing you have to say to yourself, right? And when we have to talk about more. Let's say Jerzon Newton and Byron Murphy are both there. I think I'm running to the podium if one of them are there personally. I am. But Sheldon Rankins signed for 2 years. BJ Hill has 1 more year left on his deal.
Yes.
So what happens after that?
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's the conversation. And you got to have a conversation. I'm with you. I think the only issue, right, is I think Murphy can play, he can play nose tackle, but his only issue is he's just not massive. Like he's not, and maybe that's a scheme that Lou Anarumo wants to go with. Once again, the offensive tackle is probably the more likely pick, but just because it's more likely, if you're the front office, you're not sitting in the war room, Malik, and you're not saying, all right, screw Jerzon, screw everybody else, offensive tackle, we need it, we're drafting them. I promise you. They're going to look at every possible option. They are going to. And we've talked about this, like even corner. Corner is most likely not, one of their top 3 options. But they're going to talk about it. If a guy like Terrion Arnold is there, they are going to talk about it. Jackson Powers-Johnson, an interior offensive lineman. Do the Bengals have a need for a starting interior offensive lineman? No, it is not a major need. You can roll into this year with your 3 interior offensive linemen. But they're going to talk about it. So the Bengals are in a very good spot right now because it depends on how the draft falls. But I've looked at past, years of pick number 18, and a lot of times there's a lot of extra talent that slides down the board. We've even talked about it. Guy like Jared Verse. There's sometimes a big name talent that slides down the board because of a run on tackles, because of a run on wide receivers. So you should be licking your chops if you're Bengals fans because you're going to have your pick at an extremely talented player.
And I think that's the cool thing. The draft is really wide open now. Yep. It really is wide open. You handle these next 2, handle defensive tackle, handle right tackle. It's wide open.
Yep.
Now, the fan base is clamoring for you to draft a right tackle, which makes a lot of sense, right?
Yes.
It does make a lot of sense if the one is there. But signing a guy forces you not to reach on said right tackle.
Yep.
Right? And then you have to ask yourself, would they feel comfortable putting a rookie offensive right tackle in front of Joe Burrow? Especially because I guess they've been so poor at developing these guys for so long. So these are questions that need answers, right? If you want to target a guy like T'Vondre Sweat in the second round, you have to draft him at 18 because he's not going to be there in the third round. So I don't know. Those are some of just my thoughts.
Yeah.